All right, let's start with a quick question. If you had to build a sentence, what's the one single, absolutely essential word you could not, under any circumstances, leave out?
You got it. It's a verb. I know, it sounds almost too simple, but this one little word is the absolute powerhouse of every single sentence you speak or write. Without one, you've just got a list of words, not an idea.
So, let's talk about that. The best way to think of a verb is like the engine in a car. It's what provides all the power, all the action, all the go. Without that engine, a sentence is just, a metal box that isn't going anywhere.
And look, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. It's a fundamental, non-negotiable rule of grammar. If a sentence doesn't have a verb, it's technically incomplete. It's broken. It just plain doesn't work.
Okay, so what exactly is this engine? Well, a verb's job is to tell us one of three basic things. It tells us what the subject of the sentence does, what happens to the subject, or simply what the subject is. Let's break that down. A verb can show a clear action, right? Like in, she runs fast. Easy. It can also just describe a state of being, like in, he is tired. And sometimes it just describes a happening, something that occurs on its own, like the flower blooms. Action, state, or happening. That's the whole game.
Okay, so we know they're crucial, but let's be honest, how do you spot one in a crowded sentence? Well, luckily for us, there's a simple little trick you can use every single time to hunt one down.
Here's the secret sauce. First, just find your subject, the who or what of the sentence. Then, you ask one simple question. What is the subject doing? Or, what is happening? The word that answers that question, ding, 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 that's your verb.
Let's try it out. Take the sentence, Ram plays cricket. Okay, our subject is Ram. Now we ask the magic question, what is Ram doing? He plays. Boom, there's your verb. It really is that straightforward. Now here's where things get interesting. Not all verbs behave the same way. Let's start with the nice ones, the predictable ones, the rule followers. We call these regular verbs.
You can basically split the whole verb universe into two big teams. On one side, you have your regular verbs. They're super consistent and follow a simple rule to talk about the past. And on the other side, you've got the rebels, the irregular verbs. And well, they kind of do whatever they want.
So what makes a regular verb so, regular? It's all about predictability. To make them talk about the past, you pretty much just have to add a simple ending onto the word.
And here it is, the golden rule for most of them. You just take the base verb and you stick ed on the end. Simple, clean, and super reliable.
And you see this everywhere. Walk becomes walked, play becomes played, clean becomes cleaned. Even something like study follows the same basic idea, becoming studied. It's just a consistent, predictable pattern.
So when you see it in a sentence, that little ed on played is like a time machine. It tells you immediately, hey, this action already happened. It's a crystal clear signal to the reader.
All right, now for the fun part. We've met the rule followers. Now it's time to meet the rebels of the grammar world, the irregular verbs. And these guys, they could not care less about our neat little ed rule.
Unlike their regular cousins, irregular verbs have no single fixed rule for the past tense. They're all different. A lot of them are super old words that have just kept their weird, unique forms over hundreds of years. So with these, you really just have to learn them as you go.
I mean, just look at this. You don't say good, you say went. You don't say eated, you say ate. Take becomes took. As you can see, there's no single easy pattern here. It's just a bunch of unique changes you have to remember. And in a real sentence, it becomes obvious. Nobody would ever say, he eated an apple. It just sounds wrong to our ears, right? That's because we know we have to use that special past tense form, ate. This is what makes these verbs a little tricky, but absolutely essential to get right. Since we can't rely on a simple rule for these guys, the best way to get them into your brain is just practice. So let's do a quick rapid-fire review of some of the most common ones. You ready?
If you're talking about yesterday, you didn't go somewhere, you went.
That sandwich you had for lunch, you ate it.
That great movie you watched last night, you saw it.
And that pen you borrowed, you took it. See the pattern? Haha, trick question. There is no pattern.
So there you have it. The verb is the engine of the sentence, and it comes in two main flavors, the predictable, rule-following regulars and the wild, rule-breaking irregulars. But believe it or not, that's just scratching the surface. Next time, we're going to dive deeper and take a closer look at all the different types of verbs that make our language tick. See you then.